Lagos, a city that never stops moving. 12 million dreams colliding in one coastal storm. Every horn blast, every shout, every engine roar, a battle for survival. But 25 years ago, this megacity was on the edge of collapse. Roads were broken, garbage everywhere, revenue leaking, hope fading. Nigeria had moved its capital to Abuja, and Lagos was left behind. Yet one governor walked in and decided to rewrite the rules.
We are ready to take the first strategic steps to address the overwhelming problems in our state.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to some, a politician, to others, a strategist, to critics, a man who built a machine. But behind every controversy was a blueprint that would redefine Lagos, and in many ways, Nigeria itself. This is that story, the unseen blueprint. 1999, the year Nigeria returned to democracy. For Lagos, it was also the year reality hit rock bottom. The population had exploded past 10 million, yet the infrastructure was built for barely a quarter of that. Piles of waste lined the streets from Agege to Ajegunle. Commuters spent 3 hours for a 20-kilometer journey. Floods swallowed markets each rainy season. Electricity flickered like a dying lamp, and the state coffers were dry. Lagos was earning less than 600 million naira a month in internally generated revenue, barely enough to pay salaries. The federal allocation, its lifeline, was unreliable. Urban experts called it a mega city without a plan. The city was bleeding talent and patience, yet its spirit refused to die. Because under the chaos, Lagos still had something no other state had: momentum. It just needed structure. And that's where Tinubu entered. A former accountant turned politician, armed with spreadsheets, strategy, and a stubborn belief that Lagos could fund its own future. But to do that, he had to break the rules that had kept Lagos weak for decades. Tinubu realized early, money wasn't the problem. Collection was. For years, revenue was lost to corruption, paper filing, and middlemen. Nobody knew how much the state was really earning, so he took a bold step: build a new engine from scratch. In 2001, his administration introduced the Land Use Charge Law, a single, streamlined tax for property owners. Then he restructured the entire tax system into a new entity, the Lagos Internal Revenue Service, LIRS. Computerized records, digital assessment, aggressive public campaigns. Posters appeared everywhere. Taxpayers' money at work. By 2007, monthly revenue jumped from 600 million naira to over 8 billion naira. That was an increase of more than 1,000% in just 8 years. Lagos was no longer begging Abuja for funds. It was writing its own checks. This new cash flow became the fuel for everything else: roads, schools, hospitals, cleanup drives. But not everyone was impressed. Critics asked questions about Alpha Beta Consulting, a private firm allegedly involved in tax collection under murky terms. Was the blueprint a masterstroke or a power machine? Whatever the truth, one fact was undeniable. The money started flowing, and Lagos could finally breathe. And Tinubu was just getting started. Next, he went after the arteries of the city itself, its transport. By 2000, Lagos traffic was a living nightmare. More than 2 million commuters choking on gridlock every day. Informal yellow buses, Danfos, dominated every route. No timing, no standards, no accountability. Tinubu saw that without mobility, no city could work. So he created order from madness. First came LASTMA, the Lagos State Traffic Management Authority, established in 2000 to control intersections and enforce discipline on the roads. Yellow-shirted officers appeared on every junction, hated by drivers, but essential to order. Then, in 2002, he signed the law creating LAMATA, the Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority. Its mission: to plan the future of Lagos mobility across buses, rails, and waterways. Lamada wasn't just an agency, it was a vision unit. With support from the World Bank and urban mobility experts, Lamada designed the first bus rapid transit (BRT) corridor, Mile 12 to CMS. The first BRT buses would launch in 2008 under Governor Fashola, but the blueprint was Tinubu's. The city was learning to breathe again, through its own arteries. Still, every new structure revealed a deeper problem. The state itself was drowning in disorder. Next, Tinubu would confront the one enemy every Nigerian city fears most: urban chaos. Lagos was alive, but messy. Trash mountains, blocked drains, markets spilling onto highways. It wasn't just untidiness, it was paralysis. Tinubu knew that no investor, no commuter, no dream could survive a city drowning in its own waste. So, he went to war. In 2005, his team restructured the Lagos Waste Management Authority, LAMA. They brought in private sector participation, the PSP scheme. Hundreds of trucks, each privately owned, licensed to collect refuse street by street. Gradually, heaps turned to roots. Roots turned to systems. LAMA became one of the first agencies in Nigeria to operate on performance contracts. Cleaning zones rated by metrics, not politics. Then came the KAI Brigade, Kick Against Indiscipline, 2003. Armed with uniforms and megaphones, they descended on markets, bus stops, and alleys. To some, they were heroes restoring order. To others, they were a symbol of fear and state power. Street traders fled as KAI officers advanced. Illegal structures were torn down. Tinubu called it necessary discipline. Activists called it urban cleansing. Either way, the message was clear. Lagos would no longer tolerate disorder. KAI established 2003, LAMA reform 2005, PSP model launched. Behind every cleanup was a bigger idea, to show the world that Lagos was governable. But the more Lagos cleaned its streets, the more it exposed its contradictions. A city of discipline for some, displacement for others. By 2006, Lagos looked different, cleaner, sharper, more controlled. But Tinubu wanted more than clean streets. He wanted a brand. He understood that global cities sell images as much as services. So he created LASAA, the Lagos State Signage and Advertisement Agency. Its job? Regulate billboards, street signs, and every poster that spoke to the public eye. Chaos was out. Coordination was in. Under LASAA, every outdoor message had to be approved, taxed, and tracked. It was branding, and governance rolled into one. Critics said it gave the government too much power over public expression. Supporters argued it brought beauty and safety to a city that once looked like a billboard battlefield. Meanwhile, a visual motto was born: taxpayers' money at work. Every road project, bridge, and renovation carried that signboard, not just as credit, but as proof of a new social contract. Pay your taxes, see your money. It was psychological and strategic. Behind the scenes, the government was also building business arms like Ibele Holdings, investing state capital into telecoms, real estate, and infrastructure ventures. Public image and private capital were beginning to merge, and for Tinubu, the world was finally watching. But attention comes with expectations, and to keep building, Lagos needed one thing it still didn't have enough of: money. Big money. Global money. For the first time in its history, Lagos secured a massive World Bank loan, the Lagos Metropolitan Development and Governance Project. $200 million. The money was targeted at three fronts: drainage systems to fight floods, solid waste management to sustain LAMA, and slum upgrading for communities like Ajagunle and Makoko. It was a global vote of confidence, proof that Lagos was now seen as a credible player in urban governance. But not everyone celebrated. Some locals said the projects favored elite neighborhoods. Others claimed slum upgrades led to evictions, not empowerment. And while foreign funds poured in, questions grew about where those contracts landed. Still, for the first time in decades, the city could dream bigger than survival. Tinubu's strategy was simple. Build institutions so strong that investors trust the system, not the politician. And in many ways it worked. By the end of his tenure, Lagos was earning billions monthly and building partnerships with international banks, agencies, and private developers. But the more money flowed in, the more power concentrated around a small circle of decision makers. The blueprint was evolving, from a city plan into a power network. And that's where the story turns, from success to controversy. Because the same system that saved Lagos would also ignite one of its most enduring debates. Was this a reform or a reign? Every revolution leaves a trail of questions, and the Lagos blueprint was no exception. It started with revenue, the golden engine of Tinubu's transformation. But soon, whispers began. How did Alpha Beta Consulting, a private company, become so central to the state's tax collection system? Reports suggested commissions, complex contracts, and political linkages. Critics said it blurred the line between governance and gain. Tinubu never publicly admitted ownership. Supporters insisted, without Alpha Beta's tech, LIRS would have failed. Opponents argued, the same structure that built Lagos also built a political machine. Then came the human cost. The KAI brigade, heroes to some, nightmares to others. Their sweeps cleared streets of hawkers and informal traders. But with every eviction, livelihoods vanished overnight. Mothers who sold bread at bus stops found themselves chased away. Mechanics lost workshops to demolition drives. For Tinubu's allies, this was necessary sacrifice. Order must precede progress. For critics, it was governance without empathy. And then, the question of equity. While elite districts like Ikoyi and Victoria Island flourished, areas like Mushin, Ajagunle, and Makoko remained trapped in poverty. The megacity looked magnificent from the bridge, but uneven from the ground. Still, one truth endured. Tinubu's Lagos worked. Whether you loved or feared it, you couldn't ignore it. Because behind the numbers, one vision stood tall: to make Lagos unstoppable. Today, Lagos runs on Tinubu's skeleton. Lastma still controls traffic. Lamada still plans routes. Lears still fills the coffers. Lhasa still manages the skyline. Even the new metro, the Blue Line and the Red Line, trace their ancestry back to Lamada's 2002 blueprint. The state's internally generated revenue now exceeds 45 billion naira per month, surpassing the GDP of some African countries. Lagos became Nigeria's economic engine, contributing over 30% of national GDP. It funds itself, governs itself, and exports its model to other states. But the cost is still debated. Critics see a city built for efficiency, not equality. A metropolis with glass towers and hidden gutters. Supporters see proof that structure beats sentiment, that without Tinubu's reforms, Lagos might have drowned in its own chaos. 2 decades later, Lagos has become both a model and a mirror. A model of how cities can rise from dysfunction. A mirror reflecting what happens when progress meets politics. Tinubu's experiment showed that cities can reinvent themselves, not through speeches, but through systems. Tax autonomy, institutional stability, global credibility. That's the Lagos blueprint, unseen by many, but felt by everyone. So, was it reform or control? A vision or an empire? Maybe both. Because every megacity demands sacrifice, and every system bears its architect's fingerprints. Tinubu's Lagos proved that structure can tame chaos, but it also proved that power, once centralized, rarely disperses. And yet, amid the noise, one fact remains. Lagos stands. Millions wake up, go to work, cross the bridges he built, drive on the roads he paved, and pay taxes through the institutions he created. Whether history crowns him a reformer or a ruler, the blueprint is alive, and Lagos keeps moving.